Over the course of the next 9 months, you may hear me use the term WIC to describe some stuff. I thought it would probably do us all a lot of good to take a look really quick at what the WIC stands for and what WIC stands for. The WIC is the Wedding Industrial Complex. Before we get to the WIC, you have to look at where it came from. There's a little thing called the Military Industrial Complex that came about when Eisenhower was in office or when he was just leaving. The Wedding Industrial Complex is kind of a play on those words. The idea here is that both organizations thrive on the mass production of useless and arguably harmful things. The WIC applies to a very specific breed of wedding industry professional. The WIC refers to those in the industry who have no reservations about manipulating brides and grooms and their families into throwing weddings that they can't afford. This manipulation is achieved from vendor to client. It's achieved on a mass scale through the publication of things like The Knot and Modern Bride, which exclusively feature, promote, and endorse big white weddings. The very kind of big white wedding that keeps the WIC in business. Go flip through virtually any wedding magazine and what do you see? This. You see this? You see these. Ooh, garbage. It's just garbage. You see this? Ooh, you see that? Oh look, here's some registry stuff. You see this? This is what I think of when I think of marriage. All of this. Because all of this has something to do with being married, right? You see an extremely specific image of weddings with no detail spared. And the items and the garments that are chosen for these inspiration boards display nothing short of exquisite, expensive taste. Now, when these images are everywhere, in magazines, in books, online, at the movies, on television, they establish a norm for weddings. The norm of expensive dresses, pricey flower arrangements, custom invitations, individual guest favors, welcome baskets. Not to mention all of the mandatory pre-wedding beauty treatments, the personal trainer, the tanning, the teeth bleaching, and then of course all of the additional parties, right? Bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, engagement parties, bridal showers, rehearsal dinners. And before you know it, brides and their families are taking out second mortgages on their houses or, and I kid you not, wedding loans to pay for one impossibly perfect day. According to the Wedding Report, the average cost for a wedding in the US in 2010 is $19,581, with most couples falling somewhere between $14,686 and $24,476. And this is all before the honeymoon and the engagement ring, which, in case you forgot, must be a diamond because only diamonds are forever, and anything less than forever might as well turn her finger green. Meanwhile, here in Washington State, the average household income is somewhere around $41,000. Even assuming Sean and I made anywhere near that after having graduated a year ago as media students into the middle of a recession, that $19,581 WIC price tag would have Sean and I spending just under half of our combined income for the entire year on one day. And not even a day, really, like 8 to 10 hours. The problem with the research conducted by the Wedding Report is that they get all of their data from a special pool of brides. These brides frequent WIC-friendly websites, they attend wedding expos, and they're already buying products from the wedding industry. That's how they get contacted for the survey in the first place. Now, there is nothing wrong with a bride who wants to spend that kind of money if she has the means to do so. And there is totally not a single thing wrong with big white weddings in and of themselves. But when the brides who can afford expensive weddings are the ones who are creating the standard and establishing the norm, what does that mean for the brides who can't afford it? Now, a lot of people might argue that the WIC's involvement in expensive weddings is kind of akin to violent video games and behavioral tendencies in children. It raises the question, who is to blame? Is it the WIC's fault for the pricey and outlandish standard when it comes to weddings, or is it the brides who are continuing to act it out all over the place? Is it the WIC's responsibility to show a fair and diverse sample of brides and their offbeat weddings and their alternative products? Or is it the WIC's right to try to profit by any means necessary, just like anybody else would?
Money makes the world go around, the world go around, the world go around. Money makes the